here. I'm glad you're here. I hope that you've subscribed to my channel. And if you haven't, please hit the little subscribe button. That would thrill me. Today we're doing beef jerky. Shut up. I know, right? I love beef jerky. But the stuff you find at the store, it ain't fit to chew. I don't care for it. I like to be able to make my own because that way I can put what I want to put in it. And so that just makes me happy. Now, Brad shot a deer a couple of weeks ago and we made deer jerky and that stuff was divine. But we ate it all. And so now I'm reduced to using a cow. So I'm going to show you how I make beef jerky. Now, I have a wonderful dehydrator downstairs. It is an Excalibur. It has 9 racks and it is a beast. It will hold a lot of meat or veg or whatever I want to dehydrate. But if you are in the market for a dehydrator, I cannot talk good enough about the Excalibur. And I got mine real cheap on the marketplace at Facebook because I'm cheap and I'm not going to pay full price. So there. Ha! So be on the lookout. You can find good deals on good items. So what I have here today is a sirloin tip roast that has been pre-sliced at the butcher. Now, I'm an idiot a lot of times because I failed to realize that I could buy it already sliced thin. I've been buying roasts, putting them in the freezer, letting them set up, and then slicing them myself. But when I went to the store to get the beef to make this today, I saw that it was already sliced in nice and thin, just perfect for beef jerky. And I thought, why did I waste so much time? Why didn't I just work smarter, not harder, y'all? Learn from my mistakes. So like I said, this is a sirloin tip roast. It was thinly sliced. You're looking at 4 pounds right here of meat. This recipe will do 4 pounds worth of meat, the marinade we're going to make. You can half it. If you don't want to make that much, just half it. But I like to make a lot at once because we go through it. Because anytime anybody comes over and they see it sitting on the counter, well, they're going to have a piece and they won't take some home. So it's just a big old vicious circle. So plan accordingly. You can slice it however you want to. Some people like to go with the grain. Some people like to go against the grain. I personally don't have a preference. I just like to get it done. And so the butcher, I guess he cut this against the grain because, well, I mean, he just sliced it. So I'm just taking it and I'm making little cute little rectangles and little squares because I like that better than strips. I don't like strips. I like it like this. If you like strips, well then by all means, cut it into slim little pieces and that's perfect. The point is that you do it the way you want to do it because it's going to work. Trust me. Now I have gone through here and I have trimmed off a considerable amount of fat. There was, in the tissue, I don't know where the muscles meet muscle, whatever. There's a lot of fat and there's a lot of connective tissue. So I have gone ahead and cut that part out. And I've just stuck it to the side. I might make a treat for the dog later. Anyway, yes, I'm using my hands and I'm not wearing gloves. I'm sorry. I'll wash my hands. Just chill out. Because I know somebody's going to talk about it. So anyway, I'm just going to finish doing this. And you don't have to cut every little piece of connective tissue or the fat out. But trust me, the fat does not dehydrate. It doesn't dry. And you run the chance of spoilage. And it's too expensive to make to let it spoil. So do cut off as much fat as you can. And I think that you will be very happy. So I'll wash my hands. Okay. Now we're just going to make our marinade. And it's the easiest thing in the world. And I love that I get to pick what I want to put in it. Because if you go online and look at beef jerky recipes, well, everybody has their own jam, you know. They have what they like. Brad likes his to be a little bit more savory. I like it sweeter. And so I'm going to make this batch sweet because, well, I can. And it's going to be my jerky. And Brad can make his own if he don't like it. So we're going to start with a little brown sugar. Brown sugar, universal favorite for sweetener, in my opinion. It's going to go in here, and I'm going to go in for 4 tablespoons. So it's basically a tablespoon per pound. Doesn't have to be measured exactly. I'm going in with heaping spoonfuls, just like that. But that's around about 4 tablespoons. Then I'm going to go in with some Worcestershire sauce and some soy sauce. Now, I like both of these in moderation. The Worcestershire, to me, it's got big, strong, bold flavors, and I like it, but that juniper in there, and there's something else that's deep and dark. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but it does need, the jerky marinade does need the Worcestershire, so I'm going to go about it in a light way. Anyway, if that makes any sense at all. You know, sometimes you can like a flavor, but you don't love it. I'm going to try to pop this off so that I can pour it. Use my little dull knife. Alright, so I'm going to go in with several tablespoons. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I know I should be using a measuring cup, but I can't. I think they're all in the dishwasher. So I'm just going to use these tablespoons. And it's fine. Use what you want. So I'm going to go in with 10 soy sauces. 1, 2, 3, 9, 10. And they all danced around at the Ladybug Picnic. I'm aging myself with that. Sesame Street. Circa 1975. Hello. Anyway. So, now we've got our liquid part. Now we're just going to go in with the spices we want. I'm pretty straightforward in the spice department. Salt and pepper. A couple of things to jazz it up a notch or two. Don't go crazy with the heat. But you can do what you want to do. I'm going in with 2 tablespoons. No, these are teaspoons. 2 teaspoons of black pepper. I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of salt. This is pink Himalayan sea salt. But use table salt if that's what you got. This is onion powder. I'm going to go in with 2 tablespoons. Got some garlic powder. See, I just like to use all the condiments, all the spices. So going in with 2 teaspoons of garlic. And I particularly love Cajun seasoning. I do. And you can use it in this, and it's perfect. It tastes delicious, so why wouldn't you? So I'm just going to throw in a teaspoon of, this is Tony Chachery's Spice and Herbs Creole Blend. It's good stuff. So let me grab I'm going to use a fork. Give it a stir. Now listen, if you want some heat in this, other than the black pepper, knock yourself out. I have got cayenne here. And just for grins, I'll put some in. This is a big old heaping quarter teaspoon of cayenne pepper. My favorite thing to use, though, is this. This is, I'm going to say it wrong, but it's gochujang. It is Korean hot pepper paste. It is wonderful. Of course, I love kimchi, and this is the main component of kimchi. It's good stuff, and it'll lighten you up if you use too much. But I'm just going to go in with a squirt like that, and that'll be sufficient. And if it's too bloody hot, well, shame on me, but I think it's going to be great because, well, can you ever have too much of a good thing? All right, so seriously, look, I'm just stirring this around, making a little mess in the process, and it's fine. Now, I'm going to put this in a bag. So this is 4 pounds of the sliced up roast, and we're just going to stick it in this bag. We're going to pour the liquid over it, and we're going to marinate it. Now listen, some folks like to put in a meat tenderizer, and that's fine if you want to. I don't use meat tenderizer. I don't think it needs it. For me, It's not necessary. But props to you if you decide that you want to put meat tenderizer in it. That's winner, whatever. You could also put seasoning salt. If that's what you like, then use some seasoning salt. I don't have it on hand because I don't really care for it. So I'm not using it. But this is going to be just wonderful. This marinade. It is pretty stinking assertive. It smells so good though. If you've never had the chili paste, I hope you try some. You can get it at Walmart in the ethnic center area where they sell the Chinese food or the Mexican food. It's so good. So I'm just going to pour this straight over. Make sure everything gets in. Yes. And then we're going to seal it up. Get a little air out. And then I'm just going to kind of massage it in. Separate the layers just a little bit. And then this is going in the refrigerator. And it's going to marinate overnight. Because I want all of that yummy goodness in the soy sauce and in the Worcestershire to soak into that meat protein. And I want it to just be delightful. So that's what's going to happen. This is going into the refrigerator. And tomorrow I will pull it out. And I will show you how to place it on the rack, on the dehydrator, and get her done. I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, y'all, it's day 2 of beef jerky. The beef jerky saga, I should say. I let the sliced sirloin sit in that bag for, gosh, it's been well over 24 hours. I let it sit overnight, and it was soaking up all of those spices and the soy sauce. And it just smelled delightful when I took it out this morning and opened it up. There wasn't a whole lot of liquid left in the bag either. So it did what it's supposed to. It's soaking up the goodness. So what I have done, I have gone ahead and I have laid out those strips of meat on my dehydrator rack. Just do a full solid layer. See, and I ended up with quite a few. I've got 1, 2, 3, I've got 6 of these flats, and that's 4 pounds of meat. So it's going to dry up to next to nothing, but it's still going to taste delicious, and that's the main thing. It's going to go into my dehydrator. Now, you don't have to have a dehydrator to make beef jerky. You don't. It's my preferred method because I just like the convenience of it because I can set it and forget it. But for the oven, I'm sensitive about the oven. I don't like to walk off and leave it, and I don't like to leave it on overnight. It's just, that ain't me, ain't happening. I'm going to keep an eye on it. So if you want to do this in a dehydrator, I suggest you put it in at 165 degrees and let the meat dry for between 6 to 8 hours. It's really up to you. If you want chewy or if you want something that's going to be more of a tender texture, and that also has something to do with how you slice it, either with or against the grain. But this stuff, I'm going to probably let it go 7 to 8 hours because I like it to be kind of dried out because I like it to be jerky. I like it to, when I bite into it, jerk your head off trying to bite a piece. But that's just me. You might not like it. But this is going in to my Excalibur food dehydrator, and it's going to be delightful. Now, like I said, you don't have to. You can have an oven. I'm not an expert on making jerky in the oven. I would assume that you could probably set it on the lowest setting. I'm not sure what that is on my oven, maybe 180 or so. And if that's the case, I would stick it in there and then I'd prop the door open. Because, I mean, if you cook it at too hot of a temperature, then you're not drying, you're cooking. And it'll change the structure of those meat proteins, and that's not what you want to do. You want to dry it out. You don't want to cook it because you're not wanting a steak, right? Now, I know somebody's going to say, can I make jerky without the marinade? Yes, you can. But why? It'd be like eating a baked potato without the butter on it. I mean, you can do it, but it ain't tasty. I mean, it's just plain potato. Anyway, that's your business. You don't have to soak it in a marinade. It works perfectly fine. Straight up meat in the dehydrator. But my meat's going to have a little soak on it because I like flavor. And that's all about while we put a marinade together. So I'm going to take this downstairs, going to let it go, and when I pull it out, I'm going to show you how beautiful it is. Oh, can't wait. I'll be back. Okay, boys and girls, we're at the end of our beef jerky saga. This is day 3. It has completely dried. I left it in the dryer overnight, and about 7.5 hours it cut off, and I just let it sit. So I took this out this morning, and it has really dried up beautifully. It's thin. Let's see if it'll snap. Well, it almost snaps. It's because of the way this was cut with the grain, it's more of a pull apart. You get a lot of the texture and a lot of that connective tissue. But it's jerky. It's dried out. It's wonderful. It's totally shelf stable, and now you can have a treat whenever you want one. I'm going to try it. You got to get some spit in there. It's lovely. It's delicious. Now, this batch, I don't know if you can see, but I sprinkled black pepper on top of this batch before I put it into the dehydrator. Simply because Brad likes black pepper jerky. And my niece loves it. And she's on deployment right now in Arizona. So I'm going to send her a treat. And it's her favorite thing. So she loves this jerky. Now this part, I only sprinkled the pepper on 2 trays. The rest of it, it's just my straight up marinade. And it is lovely as well, I'm sure. Let's try this. It's lovely. It really is, y'all. It's better than what you get at those bags in Walmart. Seriously. All you'd have to do now, stick it in a Ziploc bag, seal it up. I would label it, of course, if you're going to make more than one type. Put the date on it. And then enjoy the heck out of it. And it's not cheap. Beef is not cheap. I'm sorry. If you're looking for something cheap, don't make jerky. But it's very satisfying, and it's delicious. And you control what goes in it. I think that's wonderful. If I were going to make another batch for my own consumption, I'd put a little more sugar in it. The brown sugar works so beautifully with the beef, and I like the sweet. Now, I get it. I don't need the sugar, whatever. But I like the sugar, and I want the sugar. So don't be afraid to play with the recipe. Make it your own. Play with the ingredients. Shift things around. If you want it to be spicier, add more pepper. Just make it your own, and that's the beauty of it. So that's pretty much it. Come visit me over at jamieteachmetocook.com. I'm going to post the recipe. The video will be posted as well, along with a bunch of different photographs that show the steps that I took to get to this point in the beef jerky saga. So I also hope you come see me over at Jamie Teach Me to Cook on Facebook. You can visit me on Pinterest. I'm all over the place, and I'm just waiting to hear from you. So drop me a line. That makes me happy. And that's it, y'all. I'm going to go chew on one of these. It'll take me all day to get through it, but that's all right. Bye, y'all.